Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Crypto Crow. I am recording this at 1:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. And a couple quick news things. Looks like the stimulus package, one of likely many to come in the future, this first $2 trillion stimulus package has been approved. Though, while they're saying that everybody, before this passed, everybody was saying, oh, you're going to have your money in 2 weeks. It could take up to 4 months. Apparently, if the IRS has your direct deposit information and things like that from previous tax filings, you could just see money pop into your account. But if they don't have that, it could take up to 4 months for you to receive a check. A family of four is looking to get around $3,400 if you're making under 75 grand a year, I'm pretty sure. But typically, if you're making under 75 grand, you'll get somewhere around $1,000, maybe a little more, and then more depending on how many children you have. So, hopefully that's helpful. And if this all starts to, conclude or get better as we, head into May, then it'll be very helpful, especially for people that work in the bar industry, or basically people that have just lost their jobs, period. I mean, the thing of it is it's really nothing in the grand scheme of things. And they're spending so much more money helping small businesses and other companies, which is all fine. But, if this whole viral thing, it's funny, I just started watching Outbreak last night just to, I don't know, just maybe to learn something, to get freaked out. I don't know, but to kind of make my near insanity a little bit more valuable. We'll see what comes of it, but that was passed. Also, Bitcoin mining difficulty dropped like a whopping 16%, just like that. I don't know if some big farms just shut off or what, but for people that are still mining Bitcoin, that's actually a pretty good thing. So what we're going to talk about today is I'm going to be going over 5 altcoin projects that some of these projects are very, very risky. Well, I mean, to be quite frank, I think all of them are fairly risky, but with risk comes potential reward. I own 2 of these out of the 5, and I'm hoping that they do well. Just full disclosure, and I'll tell you which ones that I own, one of which I'm still currently mining and have been mining for like a year now. I'm not going to be doing deep dives into each individual coin. I'm basically going to tell you a little bit about what they are, and I'm going to point you to some resources where you can start learning more about them on your own. But the earning potential on these coins is quite significant. And I'm going to explain my thoughts, my opinions on where these coins are, what I think is possible for them, and why they have dipped so far, and why they are where they're at. Okay. And again, I want to make sure this is just my opinion. Okay. This is not financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Don't run out and buy these tokens just because I have them in this list. The rewards could be quite significant when things really start to turn around. However, we've seen time and time again that some of the most promising projects in crypto turn out to be utter duds or failures or scams, anything could happen. And I want to make that abundantly clear. Everything that you trade in cryptocurrency, regardless of how promising, professional, clean, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how amazing it appears today, it could be gone tomorrow, okay? So the beauty of a lot of these projects are they're so cheap that even a little bit of like lunch money could provide significant earnings over the course of, this next bull market. So, and if they do fail, you're not out very much, right? Another thing that I want to stress is diversification. You never want to put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, typically when I look at investments, I try to see, okay, well, what is my budget? How much do I have to risk? Okay. And from there, I'm trying to figure out what projects I feel are going to do the best while diversifying into a multitude of, industries, just covering as broad a range as possible, so that if one project goes south, another one is likely to do very well, and I will guesstimate, if I were to, let's say I invested into 100 projects, or let's say 35 projects, I'm expecting at least 5 of those to go to zero. I'm expecting a good handful of them to do okay, and then the rest to blow up for me, where the profits from the few are going to outweigh the losses of everything else. And that's kind of the mentality that a lot of venture capitalists use when they're investing in projects. It's a numbers game. And so diversification is key. I've been a huge proponent of Cardano since the beginning, but I still have not put all of my eggs in the Cardano basket, okay? Because anything could happen at any time in this space. So you want to make sure you're diversifying and you're spreading your risk as much as, broadening your opportunity for profit, okay? So the first project I'm going to talk about, which, believe it or not, is actually the least potentially profitable of the 5, is Aeon. Now, this is actually one that I own, and this is also one that I've been mining for quite a while. I think when I first started mining Aeon, it was at like 14 cents. When I first bought into it, it was higher. I don't remember exactly what. Aeon is the digital asset of the Open Application Network. Aeon is used to secure and access the OAN. As a public infrastructure, a global community of individuals, software companies, and institutions secure and maintain the operation of the OAN. These critical functions are enabled and incentivized using Aeon. The Open Application Network solves the unintended consequences of platform economies. The OAN is an open source public infrastructure for the creation and hosting of open applications. Open apps are programs that put users back in control and are universally accessible across platforms. The OAN is built on open standards and is owned by everyone that uses it. Now, they have changed their overall use case since inception. Their original use case was primarily about interoperability, bringing multiple blockchains together to basically speak the same language so they can benefit from each other and all of that, which is when I originally bought into it. Because at the time, there wasn't that much out there that were doing that sort of thing. And since they have changed their business model a bit, changed their focus, interoperability is still a part of what they're doing, but they're doing it in the vein of, allowing applications to work with other applications and things like that. In a way, it's just not as narrow a focus, which could be very beneficial. It could be very good. One of these days I'll have Mr. Spoke on and we're going to talk about all of these things. But yeah, it's ultimately, I still think it's a solid group, and I still think that the potential here is really good. Now, what are the profit potential earnings? So let's look at a couple things first. The real volume right now is around $703,000 a day. That means that every day, roughly $700,000 worth of Aeon is trading hands and doing things. Reported volume is 1.7 million. So, again, I like to focus on real volume over reported volume, because reported could mean anything. That can involve wash trading on the various exchanges. That can involve more like ledger trading, not actually like Aeon changing hands from point A to point B. A lot of different things that are going into that. So real volume's around 703,000. Under a million to me is not that great. But if we were to look at the real volume of trading on any particular project over their reported volume, it's very likely that the majority of cryptocurrencies are being traded much less than what is reported, okay, in actual trades. So this isn't terrible. And depending on how much you have, you could probably get in and out of positions fairly easily, depending. Now, where it is. Here we go. This is 177x earning potential just if it were to get back to its original all-time high of $10.53. Right now, its cycle low is 4 cents. It's up 40% since its cycle low. Okay? And I like to see double-digit returns like from the cycle low, because that means that there's still interest. People are still buying in and trading this project. And I think over time, and here's the thing that I want to make sure that you understand. While a lot of projects out there lost anywhere from, 80 to 99.9% of their original all-time high value, okay, during this bear market, to me, it's not as much about how much a project lost in its token value, but how much value that project is going to bring to the space as the market turns around and continues to push forward. I believe Aeon is going to play a pretty big role in things overall. And again, this is all just my opinion. So what I would suggest you do is, as I'm bringing these projects up and I'm presenting these things for you to look into, go to their Reddit. Because on Reddit, you're going to find a lot of interesting news, articles. You're going to find a lot of resources from all over the place, from Twitter, from Telegram, from Medium. Basically, the people associated with the community of these projects are going to Reddit, and it's almost like an aggregator of everything. I have been trying to build up my own Reddit profile because, I'm trying to give all my impersonators another place to scam people. No, I'm kidding. I really just like Reddit, and I'm trying to become a more active community member. And I'm trying to get my karma up. I need to get it up to like 500 just to be able to post on some of these. And I think I'm at like 200. So I've got a ways to go. I'm not that cool on Reddit yet. Maybe I never will be. But anyway, I do use Reddit a lot for researching different projects and what's going on. And I suggest you do the same. You're going to find a lot of really cool things. Now, the project, I'm learning that a project and its price also tends to dictate kind of the community that it brings into it. And I'll explain that in a minute on one of these other projects. But, the cheaper a project is and the more young people are likely to get involved, the more toxic I think some of these communities can get. And I could be completely wrong. They may be not kids at all. They just might be really disgruntled grown-ups who have nothing better to do than like troll. But I mean, Aeon seems to have a really good community and a lot of activity supporting its cause. Okay, so that's number one. So basically, you're looking at, just if it were to get to its break-even multiple at its original all-time high, you're looking at 177x. Even if it only got back to half of that, from where it's at right now, you're looking at around 100x return, legitimately, okay? Not necessarily just like pipe dream numbers, but legitimately, you can see 100x return on this project in the future, okay? So I think that that's something that's worth your time in researching, learning as much as you can about. Number 2 on the list, Walton Chain. Now, and another thing I'm going to address is, I do not sit around reading every single thing I can get my hands on all day, every day. I am going to miss things. I'm going to miss, I might miss some big things that maybe have recently happened that I'm just not familiar with. What I've been doing is I go through projects and I look at the numbers first. And then I try and go in and find out where the project is. I go through Reddit. I look for anything terrible or bad, like, oh, this CEO just exit scammed or whatever. And I've seen some of that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't aware because that didn't make, some of the bigger news outlets for whatever reason, right? So this is what I'm telling you. If I'm talking about a project, let me know in the comments. It will help me because I'm honestly looking at some of these projects as things I may very well get into myself. So if you're familiar with something that I'm not, please let me know in the comments. Let my community know in the comments what's going on. And I'm not talking about, post every troll type subject you can think of, or if you have personal hate for the project. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for legitimate news on legitimate things that have happened. it's so easy to make up bullshit about anything on the internet or anyone on the internet and get people to believe it. I'm not looking for that. I want real stuff, not just, made up troll shit. Okay. Because like somebody said something bad to you in the community. Now you hate the project. So you're just painting it as terrible everywhere you go. I don't want any of that. I might even delete some of it if it's not legitimate, but I am looking for legitimate comments about these projects and what you may know that I may be missing. Okay. Walton Chain, construct value Internet of Things, a perfect commercial ecosystem via the integration of the real world and the blockchain, ushering human beings into the reliable digital life. Walton Chain unfolds the new era of value Internet of Things. So basically, when you're talking about Internet of Things, you're talking about blockchain, artificial intelligence, you're talking about a cryptocurrency that's ultimately being utilized for not financing, but incentivizing and creating a marketplace around things that are going to interact with everything from like toasters to, anything that you use. Okay. And so Walton Chain it had a lot of hype surrounding it back during the ICO bull market. And it's still one. I do not own any Walton Chain, but it looks fairly promising. I mean, they're still putting out news and partnerships and all sorts of different things. I mean, this was from March 20th. They're still pushing. They're still working. They're still active in the community. Walton Chain team token release. Announcement on Walton Chain team token release, round 3. They're keeping people informed of what's happening. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for in projects, that they're still around, they're still here. So, let's looking at some of the token metrics on Walton Chain. Break even multiple right now of 193x. So by basically investing in this project right now, you're looking at an all-time high of $42, almost $42.50. And it's basically, if it were to get back just to its original all-time high, you're looking at almost 200x return on Walton Chain. So its cycle up percentage growth since its cycle low is 48%, almost 49%. So that looks pretty decent. Right now, its price is 21 cents, but just about 22 cents. So, and we've got some green as of late. So I like where this is, and I like, as a what I consider, reported market cap of 15 million. I mean, it's not a huge project. It's under 100 million. But I think these kinds of projects are going to grow significantly as applications, as when the market really starts to come back. And I know that we've bottomed, and then we've bottomed again recently because of the virus, and we've got all this stuff going on. But when the market really does start to come back, projects like this, I see taking off. I do. I think projects like this and many others are going to take off because sentiment is going to be key. And these projects that people are able to buy into cheap with active teams that are still doing good things. Right now you get it on Binance and Bitfinex. But check out the news, check out the Reddit. Make sure that, there's nothing crazy going on in the projects that you're looking at. Have they updated their, everything? Have they updated their roadmap? Is it active? Yes. Check the news, see what's going on. How recent? I've looked at some projects, their latest Reddit posts are a year ago. Okay. That tells me that it's a dead community. Sentiment is gone. There's nothing happening. I would rather see negative posts about a particular project that are very recent than nothing at all for a year, because that tells me people are sleeping. Nothing's happening. There's nothing worth talking about. So anyway, that's Walton Chain. So almost a 200x return potential on that project. Next up is Mithril. Mithril is a decentralized social media platform on the Ethereum blockchain. Mithril will integrate into new and existing social media networks to reward content creators for contributions to the network. We call this social mining. I find Mithril to be quite interesting, and it's not even a penny right now. Circulating supply, which is really, really big. You're looking at almost 800 million in their circulating supply, with a total of 1 billion at some point in the future. The volume, reported volume, is 2.3 million. Its original all-time high was $1.55. Okay, $1.55. And right now, if it were to go back, well, this is saying its original all-time high was $1.31. Up since its cycle low about 45%, which seems to be par for the course in the majority of altcoins. 386x return. A new subscriber as I'm recording this video. 386x. So by buying in right now, price USD 0.003 cents a piece. I mean, look at this. It doesn't even have to get to $1, and you're going to do very, very well. Even if this thing got, I mean, you know, cut that in fours, this could get up to 30 cents, and you're going to be doing gangbusters. And again, this is all speculative. This isn't financial advice. I'm just sharing my thoughts and opinions. Not a lot of activity on GitHub. So really nothing on GitHub. Now, that's not necessarily to say that nothing is happening, because I've learned how this website works, and there are, you know, some things you basically have to pay for them to list, which and that's from what I've gathered. I really like the site though, but some of their business practices to me are a little questionable. But at the same time, I don't know what it costs to run this site. So, you know, again, there's always two sides to everything. So Mithril, look at the news, look at what's going on. You make a video, we pay in crypto. Swap space is becoming a big thing. There are a lot of different things associated with Mithril. This is a big rabbit hole. I could discuss some of it, but that's not what this video is really about. This video is really just about pointing you in the right direction, giving you, here's a project where you could potentially make a lot of cash in the coming market. Do some research. Here's where you can start. There you go. Okay. Number 4. Some of you guys are, no, this is 4. Yeah. All right. Here it is. Dent. Now, I have a lot of Dent. But I'm not talking about this because I'm trying to pump my own bags. At this point, it's questionable what's going to happen with Dent. Creating a worldwide marketplace for mobile data on the Ethereum blockchain. Now, here's the thing. When Dent came out, it's all there was. When Dent came out, it was a fantastic idea. They currently have a marketplace. I mean, you can go and you can, they have an app. You can download that app, make calls in over 80 countries using the Dent applications. The app is solid. What they're doing is pretty solid. I've been very bullish on Dent for a long time now, but what's creating a lot of issues around Dent is sentiment. And that sentiment is coming about from people, it looks like people within the Dent team. Like a lot of people seem to hate Vass. And I guess the thing of it is it's difficult to figure out what is screenshotted and what is photoshopped nonsense. And people are so good with this kind of shit nowadays. They can make you believe anything they want if they've got an agenda or if they don't like someone. And when I'm seeing a lot of this stuff, I'm like, I don't know 100% what's real, what actually happened, and I don't know, so I stay down the middle. Now, the Dent community, there are a lot of people who bought into Dent because it's always been kind of pretty cheap, right? I mean, it's been pretty cheap for a while. Excuse me. It's 0.0001 cent right now. Now, there's been a lot of ho-hum about the Dent team using Dent tokens as kind of their own personal piggy bank. I've seen allegations, or I don't even know if that's the real word. Real volume is only 175,000 right now. I don't know if the team of this project are killing their own project by, like when they were at ICO, their ICO, I think, only launched half. I don't even know if they used half of their available supply. Liquid supply, 100 billion Dent tokens. Reported supply, about 80 billion, right? So these tokens are never going to be worth $5 ever, no matter what the hell this company does. It's just not going to happen. Its all-time high was only 8 cents. But with that being said, they're up 60% since its cycle low. I didn't even realize you guys couldn't see that behind my big noggin. Up 60% but so your break-even multiple, if it were to get back just to 8 cents, which I truly don't see happening. But if it were to get back to its original all-time high of 8 cents, you're looking at a 762x return. Now, the reason I say I don't see that happening is because the price continues to fall the more they pump into their total supply. And if they were smart, they would burn half of that shit instead of using it as their own private piggy bank, dumping it into the market when the price goes up. And that's what people are saying that they're doing. I haven't confirmed that. I don't know. But at some point, they're going to cap out, and they're not going to have any more to dump into the market. So the question is, what happens then? And as they're, well, that's not necessarily true, because at that point, it's almost like Bitcoin mining. Like the miners right now are just trying to mine Bitcoin into existence while confirming transaction fees. But once Bitcoin has risen to a certain monetary value and there is no more Bitcoin to be mined up, the sole purpose of mining is going to be about maintaining the network and, calculating and confirming these transactions all the time. And that's how mining is going to remain profitable. And that's how Bitcoin is going to remain in existence. So there's going to come a time when it's not going to be about, how much Bitcoin you can mine up anymore. I think it's going to go to more of a stagnant kind of earning type situation. So something similar could potentially happen. But at the same time, when that does, the price of Dent is likely going to level out more and potentially rise significantly more as its usage continues to rise. From everything that I've seen about Dent, it is a very legitimate operation, and it enables people to basically buy and sell their unused data to other users in exchange for Dent. The only other problem is that now it appears that other telco companies are starting to do this themselves, noticing there is a legitimate market in allowing people to trade, sell, or buy unused blocks of data. So Dent has created ultimately and inspired its own competition. There's also, the idea that, first to market, you get the benefits and all that stuff. But I don't know if what I'm seeing is a company that's confident in their long-term stability. And as such, if what the public is saying is true, they are continuing to dump their own supply into the market in market peaks. And that could be just assumption. That could be a lot of things. All of which I don't know because I'm not a part of the team, nor have I ever really talked to anybody on the team. So this is a very risky, very speculative trade with a significant earning potential over the next 2 years. The idea is, look, even if you were to buy it at a couple pennies and it goes back to 5 cents, it's huge profit. So even though it's an extremely risky investment, the profit potential for this is pretty significant. So I'll leave it at that. The last on my list, Ignis. Ignis is the public and permissionless core child chain of the Ardor platform. Ignis enables anyone to deploy lightweight smart contracts in Java and automate on-off-chain business processes using a library of more than 250 APIs. Applications and service end users never need to directly interact with the blockchain because the bundling system allows businesses and dApp owners to sponsor transaction validation fees for their users. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of red right here. And if I'm looking at the numbers, its original all-time high was $16 freaking dollars, $16.52. Reported supply of 761 million. We're seeing that a lot of these projects whose available supplies are reaching $1 billion, the sentiment it just continues to get less than and less than. Its break-even multiple right now is over 1,000%. So you've got a high-rolling gambler that wants to throw all caution to the wind. You've got 1,000x return possibility with this project. It's up 43% since its cycle low of just 1 cent. Okay? Right now, its price is 0.0163 cents. And, last trade was 5 hours ago. Real volume right now is only $15,000. That ain't squat. So this is the riskiest because without sentiment, here's the thing. These guys put out a recent, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm so dumb. I'm like getting re all of a sudden. Roadmap. Jeez, I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. They put out a recent roadmap for what's coming in the first quarter of 2020, second quarter. They're active, they're building, they're doing things. But for whatever reason, the sentiment of this project has dropped so much that, it's gone from $16.50 to not even 2 pennies. So, but it's up like everything else, but not even up like the typical 48% we've been seeing in most of these projects, but it's up 43%. Here's the thing, this thing does not have to do that much to make somebody rich. All they have to do is keep plugging away. And the thing of it is based off of how this project is structured, it's not going to take, one key partnership could send this so off and away. One key developmental relationship, one key use case being addressed with Ardor and the utilization of Ignis, and boom, you've got some new millionaires. That's the way this cryptocurrency space is right now. Lines removed over the last year is about 25,000. They've cleaned up a lot of crap. They've added 43,000. That was over a year, but lines added over the last 90 days, none. Lines removed over the last 90 days, none. But it looks like over the 1 year, they did some significant edits and some big work on this. So Ignis is the last on the list with the biggest potential earning potential rather, but it's down 99.90% since its original all-time high. But like everything else, it's still climbing since its cycle low. Those are my top 5, and that's basically straight from the numbers and doing a little digging around on Reddit. Now, Dent's community is super toxic. Like, there are a lot of people pissed off with Dent. They do not like Dent. They don't think that this is going anywhere. And then you've got another group of people who are like, it just needs time. It's kind of, I don't even want to say it's a 50-50 mix. It's definitely, it definitely seems to be the community is leaning much more to people that are pissed off. They're not happy with Dent's progress, its performance, its price performance, and what they're doing with the tokens and things like that. But there are two sides to every story. I would like to get somebody from the Dent team to come on and talk. Open invitation. And not as an ambush, I'd like to know what's going on. I'd like to give them the opportunity to explain their side of the situation, what's happening, what their plans are, what they expect to see coming out of their camp moving forward. As a holder of Dent, I genuinely am curious, and I'm reserving all judgment until I've given them the opportunity to speak for themselves and explain what their goals are and what's happening behind the scenes. if they never take me up on that, then I'll assume that they're hiding. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. So, and I'm sure they'll see this video, and, somebody can reach out to me, and let's talk. So that is that. Bitcoin sitting at 66.54. It's just kind of hanging out. There's not a lot of activity happening so far this afternoon. This is a 12-hour chart. Looking at a 4-hour, we dipped a little bit, and then we just turned white again. And, this looks like accumulation to me. And, when we're in a situation like this, it could go either way. We are right smack dab in the center of this, which is I was looking at, because I do watch Crypto Kirby. I will give him credit, even though I want to smack him sometimes. I do enjoy watching him, and I'll let him explain it. You can check out his videos, but I basically stole these areas here, resistance, support, the different windows. If we break above this, we should be well. If we break below this, then we're probably going to touch into here, which we did here. The guy tends to know his stuff. And we're directly smack dab in the center of this, and we're accumulating now. My hope is, because of the fact that we're getting closer to the halving, this is my mark. I set this mark months ago. This is where I expect and hope to be by the time we get to the halving. It's really between 11 to 14,000 is what I'm expecting. And look, the fact of the matter is that right now is an absolutely powerful opportunity. Stimulus checks are coming. If somebody wants to take $100 and throw it into a really risky cryptocurrency, that's a hell of a lot better, in my opinion, than buying a bunch of lottery tickets hoping you're going to score. The space is going to grow. Even projects that have dumped significantly during the bear market are going to be seeing some improvement to their price action as we move forward and the market turns around. Once we get out of this viral panic that we're in, these quarantines, these shutdowns, is soon. I drove down the road yesterday in my neighborhood, and everybody was out in their yard. I have never seen that ever. And I'm not saying everybody was having barbecues together. There's obviously the social distancing thing. Everybody's so tired of being cooped up in their homes. I saw one woman working in her driveway on a blanket on her laptop. And I'm like, that actually looks nice. My wife made me drink some White Claws and a couple shots and then go hang out with her while she was gardening. You know what I mean? And it's stuff that we don't normally do. And Adesanya, Stylebender, he's an MMA fighter, fantastic fighter, cocky guy, but he's earned the right to be that cocky. But he made a point in a video, and I'm like, he's absolutely right. This whole viral situation is going to make or break some people. It's going to ruin relationships. It's going to cause turmoil. It's going to cause new drug addictions and alcohol addictions. It's going to take people and really bend them and possibly break them. And then there's going to take other people who are going to rise above it, and they're going to utilize this time to educate themselves, to become better, to do different things, to explore new things and open their horizons. And it's going to help some people ultimately make a turn for a better life. And, I agree with that wholeheartedly. My advice to you, take this opportunity to continue educating yourself. Don't let the world around you get you down. It's not going to last forever, but be prepared for when things do turn around and everything starts to get significantly better very, very quickly. Until next time, guys, thanks for joining me. Crow your coins, and I'll see you again real soon.